Hey guys, it's Tyler from Stark, and today we are demonstrating the split squat. It's one of the most effective exercises for training the lower body because when done correctly, you can actually train most of the muscles in the lower body. The other thing that's great about the split squat is it's a single leg exercise, so you can use it to correct imbalances from left to right. Also, there's an added benefit of improving your flexibility and mobility through this exercise. For some people, squatting is really challenging, but almost everybody can do a split squat. There's lots of different variations and ways that you can get the most out of this exercise, and we're going to show you all the ways to do that today. We're going to start with showing you the correct way to do a split squat, and then cover some of the common mistakes people make. And we'll also leave you with a few different variations to try when you're doing your workouts. Starting with the setup, you're going to have your feet hip width apart, and then you're going to take a split stance. Now, the distance between your feet forward to backward may vary depending on the person. Things like the tightness in your quads and hip flexors, or the range of motion of your ankles can affect this. It's important that you have your feet hip width apart and not in a straight line. One of the things they say is have them on train tracks and not a tightrope. And then before starting the exercise, make sure the back heel is up on the toe and not flat down on the floor. Now that you've got the setup, we're going to start doing the movement. The first thing you're going to do is start with your front leg straight, and you're going to begin to lower yourself down and forward at the same time. You're going to go as far as to allow the front knee to come in line with the toe, but you're not going to go further than that. For most people, the bottom of the split squat is when the front knee comes into alignment with the front of the toe. Now this can vary from person to person, but it's best for most people to start with this position. So now that you've seen the basic exercise, let's talk about 3 of the common mistakes we see when people try to do the split squat. The first and most common mistake we see in the split squat is allowing the front knee to cave inward as you go forward, or some people call it knee buckling. This is a faulty movement pattern, and repetitions in this position is going to cause damage to the knee over time. The second mistake we see a lot in the split squat is allowing the front heel to raise up during the movement. It's important to keep the heel grounded because that keeps the posterior chain, or the glutes and hamstrings, engaged and doesn't over-recruit the quads. The last thing is allowing the back leg to be too far back or having the back leg locked out and too straight. This can push you too far forward over your toes or decrease the range of motion that you get in the front leg. Okay, so now that you know the right and wrong way to do a split squat, we're going to talk about a few different variations that you can use to keep variety in your program. The first variation is the front foot elevated split squat. This is generally the easiest one from a mobility standpoint for most people to start with, and in general, people who need to develop more of the posterior chain, like the glutes and hamstrings, benefit a lot from this variation. The next variation is the rear foot elevated split squat. This one is more challenging from a mobility and range of motion standpoint, and in general is going to focus more on the quads. The third variation is to actually change the way that we load the exercises with the weights. The easiest loading variation to start with is holding dumbbells at your side. This doesn't require a lot of extra range of motion or core stability for the person doing the exercise, so I like to start this as my first loading variation. The second loading variation is to do a dumbbell goblet hold. This is going to recruit more of the upper body musculature, and you're going to have to maintain spinal stability and posture control as you do the lower body exercise. The third loading variation is a kettlebell front rack. This is similar to the goblet hold, but because you hold it on one side opposite the front leg, you get more engagement of the stabilizing muscles from left to right. The final and most advanced loading variation is a barbell loaded variation. This is for more advanced trainees, and I would recommend moving to this once you've mastered some of the other variations. So now that you know the proper way to do a split squat and some of the common mistakes to avoid, take some of these different variations and go out there and start including them in your workout program.